you're a successful saleswoman in this city, you have two choices. You can bang your head against the wall and try and find a relationship, or you can say screw it and just go out and have sex like a man.
You mean with dildos?
No, I mean without feeling.
Samantha Jones was a New York inspiration. A public relations executive, she routinely slept with good-looking guys in their 20s.
There are many characters in TV history that have the impact and cultural relevance that Samantha Jones has had for the last 25 years since Sex and the City came out. Sex and the City is a show that revolutionized the view on female life expectations, sexuality, and career. So for an already iconic show that has a lot of unforgettable characters, especially the main ones, Sam is the one that shines through the most by becoming one of the favorites, if not the favorite one from the four friends. Even over Carrie, who's the protagonist. Her confidence, her open way to see relationships, and her cynic way to see love, her sensuality and the way she projects it, and the evident love and care she had for her friends are the main points as to why people love her. It was so evident the confusion when, and just like that, decided not to bring her back that, when it came out, it made a lot of people ask, where is Samantha Jones? So I watched Sex and the City and a couple of minutes of And Just Like That, and I will make a deep dive into Samantha Jones and what makes her such an iconic presence, and also one that has stood the test of time and become more and more relevant as years come by. The most evident characteristic of Samantha is how adventurous she is in bed. As she has said it herself, she would try anything once. In fact, she was sort of the sensual anthropologist Carrie introduced herself as in the first season in the show. She's uninhibited, confident, and open with what she wants and the way she talks about it. During the show, she's the one who has had most intimate partners and bed scenes, and as a contrast, she's the one with less emotional partners if we don't take her friends into account. She knows what she wants in bed, and being satisfied is important to her. So much so that she had to leave James, a man that wasn't well equipped and that didn't satisfy her, even though she really liked him. Which is something people would say is rash and a little cruel for something like bad behavior. But if something is an integral part of your life, then why should you compromise and stick to it in spite of the other benefits? Especially knowing how important it is for Sam to have good sex.
How would you like to make love to this every night? Is it kosher? Don't make me laugh. It's tragic.
She supplies her physical needs with men and her emotional needs with her friends, and has no expectations of having kids or a family, which is more common nowadays, but having a woman single and free of kids in the 90s was rare. She's happy to enjoy her body in the terms she decided, which has caused her some issues too. Sam can be reckless with her intimate life, in which she pursues out of hedonistic pleasure and the replacement of intimacy she may lack with a permanent male partner, or any partner in general. Her adventurous nature has brought her into uncomfortable situations in one way or another. Examples of these are how she hasn't gotten tested for STDs because she was scared of what may come out, or when in two separate occasions she slept with married men, one of them confronted by the wife of the first one, and the second time when she was socially blacklisted by the wife of the second one. In her defense, she didn't seem to do it out of spite or as a power play, but she did end up hurting people and almost damaging her own career and social life in the process.
I think you've made your own bed and you need to lie in it. And you're good at that, aren't you?
She did sleep with a lot of people, but didn't have a romantic relationship with most of them. The most remarkable ones were with James, Maria, Richard, and Smith. The last two were where she opened up more and we see a side of Sam that we mostly see when she's with her friends. She does use bed activities as a way to avoid emotional intimacy. She uses it to protect herself from the potential harm that this could cause her. And in the face of a real relationship that would ask more from her than her body, willingness, and her vast experience in the bedroom, she either runs away or tries to sabotage it.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I hate myself for doing this to you.
And even though we don't know much about Sam as a girlfriend or her history, she does have strong views on relationship with men. In my opinion, all of this could be alluded to the vast experience she has had with them. And when this shield comes off, which is something she's reluctant of, we do see a version of Sam who is softer, more accepting, and even naive as well. For example, in her relationship with Richard, she was willing to give him a chance when she caught him in bed with another woman. A lot of people will say that's very unlikely of Sam, when in reality this is exactly who she is. When she loves, she drops her guard almost all the way down. This is so evident that there is a clear distinction of who Sam is when she's not in love.
Men do this all the time. Women walk around thinking we, and their version of we is me and my dick.
To who she is when she is in love.
You know, being scared is not an easy thing for a man to admit.
This sort of blindness that we see in some of her more emotional relationships with partners is something that can be translated as well in her relationships with her friends, which brings me to the next part. One of the most heartwarming scenes in the whole franchise is what made me watch the whole show from start to finish. And it's not precisely in the show, but in the first movie. After Carrie gets stood up by Big the day of her wedding, they all go to Mexico and Carrie hasn't eaten in days. All of her friends are checking up on her, but Sam comes to her room with food, sits in her bed, doesn't say a word, and starts feeding her. To me, this was enough to understand Sam's character as a friend. She's loving, giving, and forgiving, and a fierce protector of those whom she loves and cares for.
What's going on?
She stole my baby name.
You bitch. Let's go.
To see how Sam really loves, we shouldn't see at how she treats her temporary partners or lovers, but more about how she treats her friends and the ones who are close to her heart. Sam loves Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda in an almost maternal way, not entirely related to her being the oldest one in the group. We can generally say that she's the one who is always there for all of them, even in circumstances that seem small to outsiders. We can assume her reduced close circle implies that she filters well whoever comes close to her, because she knows what she gives, how she loves, and what she's capable of doing for someone she cares about.
Now listen, I'm either going to have to make an emergency visit to my gynecologist, or one of you is going to have to give me a hand.
Go. I just had my nails done.
All of this without mentioning that the friend group has been together for a very, very, very long time. Which is why it was so confusing that when in a Just Like That, Carrie said that Sam was using her as an ATM, when for most of the relationship, Sam was the one who was wealthier and Carrie didn't come into big money until she married Big. In my opinion, this was more a jab at Kim Cattrall for not wanting to be part of the reboot, but it surely backfired when everyone was recalling what a wonderful friend Sam was during the show and during the movies too. Something that I appreciate, and well, it's not like they had another option to be honest, is that they brought Kim back for a second season of a Just Like That to reprise her role as Samantha Jones for 74 seconds. It was only fitting for her to leave in the most loving and sweet way possible. Quite appropriate for her character. This long-standing relationship is also a complicated situation if we keep in mind that the love, care, acceptance, and attention Samantha gives to her friends is not precisely reciprocated by them. All of the group has been harshly judgmental of Sam's way of living and opinions in her face and behind her back. They do benefit a lot from her connections, especially Carrie, and ironically she's the one who comes after Sam on more than one occasion. Which would make me think, this is one of the reasons why Samantha is so protective of her personal space in romantic relationships in life, because for her, it may be a lot easier to set boundaries with a complete stranger than with someone who's close to her heart. It's a good example of why she doesn't leave that friend group that is less than supportive of her. Only someone who loves that hard is willing to overlook a lot of the awful things they do and say to her. And man, that group of friends could have been a lot more supportive to her.
That work? You go to bed one night, you wake up the next morning, and poof, you're a lesbian?
Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm a fire hydrant.
Yeah, I'm a shoe. I always wanted to be one, and poof, now I am.
I don't think she's a lesbian. I think she just ran out of men.
At the risk of overanalyzing Samantha's treatment by her friends, I would dare to say, since they all represent a part of ourselves, Charlotte the romantic, Miranda the pragmatic, Carrie the inquisitive, and Samantha the sexual part that every woman has, we can analyze that the discomfort that they feel against it could exemplify how uncomfortable and foreign the sexual part feels for most of us. Somehow as if it is some sort of taboo that has been relegated to the instinct or even to the subconscious part of ourselves. And this, in my opinion, becomes more evident when Charlotte and Samantha clash, because it's usually the romantic and traditional part of ourselves, the one who's more confronted against our sexual being and desires.
For a sex columnist, you have a very limited view of sexuality.
Gay is pink suede. What?
It's supposed to happen between two people who love each other.
Or two people who love sex.
Oh my God, you're such a...
A what?
Not long ago, I saw people on TikTok mentioning that the Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda group were not Samantha's main friend group. Which I will hope for Sam's well-being that it's true, because she needed friends who were more supportive and accepting of her lifestyle than the ones she had. I don't know, part of me wants this to be true, but since I have mentioned before that she's so protective and giving to them, I seriously doubt that a person like Samantha will give this much to a second-tier group of friends. Anyway, I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments because I'd love to know how that theory will work in your opinion. I understand that your friends are not supposed to be or think the same way you do, because a little contrast and clash always makes us grow up and be better. But what she received was nowhere near to what she gave to them. Fortunately, she had the audience to back her up because recently she has become, according to fans, the main character of Sex and the City. In recent years, we have seen a reassessment of characters in media, and we have learned to understand them and even translate them to the context of current events and way of living. For example, in the 90s and 2000s, Ross Geller and Ted Mosby were seen as hopeless romantics, but in 2023, they are concerning and a little bit creepy. In Sex and the City, this was the case of Miranda, who was seen as a cynic tomboy and sort of a man-hater in the 90s. A couple of years ago, there was a book called We Should All Be Mirandas by Lauren Garroni, which exemplified why Miranda's mindset could be not only helpful, but aspirational in this day and age. In Sam's case, this reassessment has been a constant since the show came out. Her way of living has been a direct opposition to what a majority of women have been told to aspire to. She's always been a visible and loud opposition, which makes us question if we want what is expected from us. And that's why Sam is as refreshing now as she was 25 years ago when Sex and the City came out. She lives her sexuality how she wants, and she's open with her desires and expectations. She's vocal with what she wants, and she won't doubt to let you know when you're crossing a line, and she won't hesitate to come out and defend her loved ones too. It was also forward from the writers to project Sam as a trisexual and a woman who is willing to experiment not only in the bedroom, but in her life and with her looks too. When one of Carrie's boyfriends mentioned he's bisexual, everyone in the table was shocked except for Samantha, who accurately predicted that the future was going to be about sensual expression.
The new millennium won't be about sexual labels, it'll be about sexual expression. It won't matter if you're sleeping with men or women. It'll be about sleeping with individuals.
She was blunt, maybe a little too much, where I can understand how uncomfortable someone may feel when coming into contact with her for the first time, but these women have been her best friends for decades and still get surprised and are very critical of her behavior. And this is one of the best characteristics of Samantha. She doesn't conceal who she is in order to fit in. She is who she is, and she's not afraid to let others see it.
And I will not be judged by you or society.
Sam does live a life in which she defies a lot of expectations of what a woman can and cannot do. She's the oldest of her friends, she's unmarried and has no projections to change that. She doesn't like kids and has a very active, sensual life. She's also successful and good at her job, on top of being hot, confident, and knowing the power she has over people. She was a walking threat to what the status quo is built to be now, let alone in the late 90s. She was such a well-created character that only an actress as talented as Kim Cattrall could have brought her to light the way she did. Her poise, comedic timing, and portrayal were so on point that you cannot imagine another actress playing Sam as well as she did. She's huge, unavoidable, and she knows it. And that's what's so inspirational about her. She does have some flaws, but as a character, she blends her masculine and her feminine in such an assertive way that you cannot stop looking at her, and even if you can, she will let you overlook her. It is no secret that there has been a long-standing feud between Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall that came out to light when Kim's brother sadly passed away in 2018. And Sarah Jessica Parker expressed her condolences to Kim. Kim Cattrall answered a straightforward post asking Sarah Jessica Parker that they are not friends and not to inconvenience them in this hard time for her to restore her quote-unquote nice girl persona. This let the public know that the beautiful friendship they had on screen was only existing there. Over the years, Kim Cattrall was blamed for not wanting to do a third movie or for not wanting to be part of And Just Like That. And according to her, there was some tension between her and the rest of the cast and even Michael Patrick King, the producer of the show. There are a lot of details that describe well the ongoing situation on set that would imply that Kim was not as close to the other cast members for different reasons. Some have been confirmed, some haven't, and that's why I didn't mention them here, but they give us an idea of what the atmosphere was in there. What I'm about to mention next is my opinion on one of the things that could have led to these problems between the co-stars, but it's merely a speculation and I don't want you to treat it as gospel truth. However, I want to mention it because it's something that I have observed in unrelated but similar situations before. So I would like you to please keep this in mind, and if you have any notations or opinions, please let me know in the comments. Although Sam wasn't only popular for being the bottom of the joke, she had a genuine charisma and comedic timing that couldn't be equally paired by the other characters in Sex and the City. When the main character was Carrie, and all her friends had an important part in it, Sam did really shine through, and not only for the intimate scenes that she had to perform. Some of the jokes Sam had to perform in later seasons, and especially in the second movie, were at her expense in trying to make her look bad, and even then, this woman couldn't be outshined by bad writing.
I wanted to be super fresh for the party. Well, you are. You look like beef carpaccio. Fail down, I think.
In my opinion, I do sense a power play for the public and critics' approval that Kim Cattrall was sort of earning without much publicity. Because even though Sarah Jessica Parker was the protagonist and even executive producer of later seasons, it was inevitable not to notice Kim Cattrall's talent and her execution of the role of Samantha Jones. On the same note, I do sense a need from Sarah Jessica Parker to perpetuate herself as the style icon that Carrie Bradshaw was. Because there wasn't a need to have a second Sex and the City movie, which it was terrible, racist, and didn't bring anything new into the table. And that could also be said for the reboot as well. Carrie is a character that plays Sarah Jessica Parker as a staple in pop culture and fashion history. So much so that she is one of the most expected every Met Gala because she does come with some interesting concepts depending on the theme. This is the reason why I think she does want to keep having the cultural relevance that Carrie had. The movies extended her prevalence during the 2010s, and with And Just Like That, I assume she wanted to extend her legacy into the 2020s. And maybe in the 90s, women would like to be Carrie. Having a fabulous job with fabulous and successful friends, having a fabulous apartment filled with designer shoes, and dating a fabulous and rich man that dragged her around for 6 seasons, but we are not going to talk about that right now, maybe in another video. But in our current climate, women want to distance themselves from being a Carrie and having Miranda, Samantha, and to a lesser extent Charlotte as role models. Reason why everybody and their grandma was asking what happened to Sam in the reboot. And I'm glad that we had those 70 seconds of screen time with Sam, so she can say goodbye to the audience, because if this is the last we're going to see from her, it was a more dignified and even sweet way to say goodbye to a beloved character than this.
Condoms! Condoms! Yes!
Although she was, as Holly Golightly will put it, handsomely paid to reprise her role as Samantha Jones for the last time, it's such a shame that Kim is not coming back to the show. I respect her decision, and I believe in her position I would have done the same thing, but that doesn't mean Samantha Jones is not going to be missed. I would have loved to see her opinions and mindset about the sensual expression of the new generations, with things such as polyamory, gender expression, and even some of the experiences I don't doubt she may have had related to them. She was the most well-equipped to offer a well-informed opinion, and probably even being a good role model in that area for Charlotte's and Miranda's children. And if there is something we can learn from Sam, it's to be unapologetically yourself. Love hard, live to the fullest, and go where your soul is asking you to go. That even when it may be difficult to find your place, in the end it will be found, and you'll be appreciated, and it will be way better than you thought it was going to be. Because she was not loved well enough by her friends, but she does have a legion of followers in the audience that adore her. Samantha Jones is as unforgettable as she's loved, and always for a good reason. And although she wasn't perfect, most of us could benefit and be grateful to have a Samantha in our lives, to show us that the true beauty of life is found beyond our limitations. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye!